Welcome to Bat Therapy, mental health through the lens of comics and film. Be a fly on the wall or a bat in the cave, listening in on a friendship built out of a love for talking Batman, comics, and the everyday struggle to achieve mental health and happiness.
We're your hosts, clinical psychologist Dr. Amelia Brown and educator and comic aficionado Keeden Hopkins. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and social media and find our Patreon at patreon.com/battherapy.
This podcast is about providing education and understanding and is not a replacement for mental health treatment or support. If you're needing help, go to bat-therapy.com for resources.
All right.
Okay, we got to blame our guest that we had. I guess we got to blame Michael Miller for getting us to finally watch Fantastic Four.
All right. So I'm honestly annoyed. I'm annoyed right now because let me. All right.
Tell everyone why you're annoyed, Keeden.
Guessed that I would not like this movie. In the trailers, I didn't see anything that interested me in it. I didn't go to the theater to see this movie. When it came out on Disney Plus, I did not rush to see it because I just didn't care. I'm like, okay, this is the third Fantastic Four reboot if you don't include The Incredibles, which I do. Like, I just didn't, everything I saw, I'm like, okay, so they're just redoing Rise of the Silver Surfer, but
it was hard to see, like, why. I mean, it was a cool vibe for the technology with the
right.
Yeah.
That movie, like, I messaged you earlier today, annoyed at how much I enjoyed it because I just expected this to be a bomb. I really did expect it to be a bomb. And it was in that way, as I was watching it, I was like, oh no, here we go. Here it comes. Because it kept having every opportunity. Piss the bed. And it just didn't. It was like a car full of nitroglycerin on the world's worst road, and it just never hit a pothole. And I kept waiting for it to. And so I really actually enjoyed this movie. It was wholesome, and I think they really did a good job sticking to the family vibe, which I think is what made it work. But it also just annoyed me that I enjoyed it because as a huge DC fan, I'm like, they somehow struck gold with this. Meanwhile, the first movie with Batman and Superman in it had pee in a jar. Like, I'm so annoyed.
I think this movie kind of teetered into Wonder Woman 1984 territory. Not as badly.
Pedro Pascal.
It was not as bad. But, like, you know how that movie was solved? Like, everything was resolved because of the goodness of people, and they all, like, gave back their powers, blah, blah, blah. And we're in the middle of COVID, right? And you're like, yeah, okay.
Right.
This movie had a touch of that. It wasn't as bad.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
But when Dr. Reed, who potentially has a touch of autism, it's hard to tell if he's just, like, very disconnected because of high intellect or if there might be like an autism component there going on. But like Dr. Reed Richards, he just kind of blurts out like, here's the reason, the reason that Galactus is still after us is because we wouldn't give him our baby. And then of course, like, everyone's mad. Okay, well, you put this one. It's the same, problem that you give to people. Like, oh, if a train's about to head over and, like, who do you save? One person or what, right? They did a good job because when that happened, I was like, oh no, they're going to make people be okay with the fact that they didn't sacrifice their baby. And I'm not sure it's realistic that everyone would get on board. But they did actually a decent job of, like, Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, how she maneuvered that situation.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I find this relatively believable. But once again, given the context of the society we're living in as this movie came out, I was like, there's still a faction of people who would totally, like, just try and take that baby and ship it off to Galactus.
They would not have given a shit about her amazing, beautiful speech. They would have been like, yeah, okay, no.
It wasn't just the speech, though.
It was a beautiful speech.
Oh, it was a beautiful speech. But, I mean, the speech was nice, but she was also just trying to humanize the baby to people and make it so, like, you're not just seeing this as someone else's kid. This is like now a person that you have personal interaction and contact with, which is psychologically very smart. But yeah, there would definitely be a faction of people that would just try and take that baby and boot it
The
into space.
the only reason I believed it is because this was in an alternate universe where it was like the
Sure.
1960s, but
Well,
without
like
racism, right? It would have
yeah.
never happened in this universe. I'm like, she gives that speech. I'm like, Sue, this is a universe where people actively vote against free lunch for poor children. This is not gonna
Yeah.
work. Like
Yeah.
I was
It's not working here.
that's what my suspense of belief was because they were in an
Okay.
alternate 1960s without racism and lynchings. And so I was like, okay, that right there,
Okay. Yeah.
all right, cool. I'll allow it. I'll believe it.
Well, and also they are like celebrity heroes as well. And so as we see in our society, there's this like parasocial connection that people can really gain even from someone that you know less about or has like they saved the planet and lives and it shows all this stuff that they've done. I mean, like YouTubers and other and like movie celebrities and musicians that are, you know, famous people, they have issues where people can start feeling really personally connected to them and trying to kind of separate
Mhm.
like private life and public life kind of stuff can be really tricky. So in this case, that sort of scenario that was probably happening where all of these people probably feel personally connected to the Fantastic Four, even though they don't truly know them,
Yeah.
might have actually worked to her benefit as
Household
well.
names. Right.
Because, I mean, like, granted, people can turn on you on a dime, but if she personalized things like she did, then you're using that connection so that it's not the two of our baby, it's everyone's baby. And this is like this is about each of us as a human. This isn't like, you know, just an easy solution.
Kind of saw them as like a good version of the royal family. Like that's the way that
Mm.
they're portrayed in
See
this.
that?
It's like everybody knows them, everybody loves them. They're having a baby. The entire world is like waiting for it. But at the same time, it's very different from the royal family because they actually have like a lot of merit and have done a lot for this planet. Like they are, the world loves them. And that was one thing that was a little bit unbelievable, but they kind of alluded to it in like the post credits and in the movie, but like they didn't have a lot of enemies. Normally someone
Mm.
that benevolent, tons of people hate them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And it sucks, but like, yeah, people that are that benevolent, like they're
We don't like people that make us feel bad about ourselves. And if
right.
you're just a really good person,
Yeah. How dare
then,
you
yeah.
be a
How
good
how
person?
dare because like automatically just like if you're contrasting yourself to that, it's like how dare you? Yeah, it
Well,
just like
right. I mean,
you
because
can't help but just be like, well, I'm a shit person compared to this person, so therefore I'm deflecting it back at you.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's one of those, yeah, it's one of those things you look at it like, I mean, especially in this day and age where it's like people are yelling, "Eat the rich," and I'm like, yeah, but not Batman. He's one of the good, and Oliver Queen and Mr. Terrific, not him, and I guess
Is
the
Mr.
Fantastic
Terrific
Four,
rich?
yeah, he's loaded,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, big
I
time,
guess that makes sense. How else could he build all the
yeah,
tech?
he's no, he's low, yeah, he might be richer than Oliver Queen, like he's way up there, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, like it's one of those, but yeah, and with the Fantastic Four, I'm like, okay, clearly they're loaded, very clearly. But at the same
Mm.
time, the man invented light speed and teleportation. I'm like, I get it. Like, fine, you get to be rich. You got like, it's not nepotism, right? Like, it's
I mean, I guess, but I'd say his wife is more impressive. She like
no,
literally
she carried that. Let me be clear.
I mean, she
They made her
literally
so awesome in this movie.
so awesome in this movie. And I mean, literally what are they? mole people or whatever that live underground. All these there were major war factions between the people like above and below ground, and she literally pulled
Yeah.
them all together. She's
Yeah.
way more impressive to me in terms of just like helping things move forward. He did science stuff and technology, and that's great. But
Yeah. I was
honestly,
trying
if
to,
you don't keep him in check, that could end you up down a bad
yeah.
road, honestly.
I feel like they didn't touch on that a lot. I guess the people on land were at war with Fraggle Rock or something like that. Like it was weird. It was I don't know. I don't know, but it was also wholesome like when they introduced like the leader of the mole people.
I think it's called
Some
Mole Man. So I don't know if
Yeah,
they're mole people or not, but he's Mole Man.
it feels racist. When I say it, it feels
It does feel
racist.
kind of wrong. Yeah.
Like you can't say mole people. Like, I don't But yeah, like when they introduced him, I thought it was hilarious because the actor that plays him was also in Cobra Kai, and
Oh,
he was hilarious on that show as well. And so I I really like this movie. It kept me smiling when I really thought I would be cringing a whole lot more. And like I said, Sue Storm, she really carried the movie. I love Vanessa Kirby,
I
and
agree. She
yeah,
carried the movie. I think, well, I mean, it's Pedro Pascal, but I loved his rendition. I thought he did a wonderful job. I gotta be honest, like Johnny Storm, Human Torch, kind of got lost in the background. Even Ben, like they had some stuff with him, but I
agreed.
wanted to see more of it. It
Yeah,
was like, oh, we're introducing this interesting side plot with him that we barely touch on. So that was
yeah.
annoying. And then Human Torch, I don't know what his personality is supposed to be like, granted, but
I think
it
he
felt like
nailed
it
it.
was okay. Because it
I
just
think he nailed it. It's just hard to compare when you had like Chris Evans. Like I feel
because
like
like
Chris
Chris
Evans did a
Evans,
really good job.
he gave it like a flair,
Yeah.
and that wasn't there with this, and that's, I mean, maybe they just didn't want the character to, they didn't want to just copy that character, obviously, from Chris Evans' version, but it just, I don't
It
know, there
was
was something about
yeah.
it that wasn't strong enough to hold my attention.
Well, I think that it was just I did like that they made him smart. I really like
Mm,
that they made him smart and
yeah,
like relevant to moving the plot forward instead of just being
that's
like the
true.
badass flying around. I
Yeah.
love that he was like, "Hey, I can do stuff too. Look, I figured this out on my own." And it wasn't this whole plot line of we're breaking up as a team and we're going to get back together at the end. Like, no, it was like, all right,
Actually, that's a
family,
great point. I'm glad they
family
didn't do that.
first. Yeah, they were like, all right, look, the theme was we're the Fantastic Four. We stick together. We figure things out together no matter what. And they stuck to their guns. It wasn't one of those things like, well, Sue and Reed are temporarily not talking to each other or broken up or oh Ben's
Mhm.
leaving the team. Like they didn't go that stereotypical route like you see in team movies where it's like oh
Yeah,
the band is breaking up. And I mean they might, I doubt they ever do that because I think the next time we're going to see them is in Avengers Doomsday.
probably.
And so I'm really interested in seeing how they get to this universe. But yeah, I really love the way that they interacted as a family. Like they talked things out
Yes.
and they also recognized each other's vulnerabilities. And I also feel like they did a really good job of seeing things from each other's point of view. Like a really good job. Even, I mean, Sue would know what Reed was thinking and finishes like, she's like, I know how you think, but like stuff like that comes from years of good communication with one another. Like that is not something that is easily built. It's something where
Well,
it's like,
especially when you're pointing out, like, I know where you're going with this and I don't like it. And to
yeah,
do that in a way that doesn't just like ramp things up way
right,
high, but
right.
using it to propel forward and like find a different route. I agree with you. It was very nice to see, because a lot of these movies, come on, what do we want? We want
Hmm.
something that pulls us in, that really like, it gets you riled up and
Yeah,
gets your emotions flowing. Da, da, da. There's nothing better than conflict and breakups and, all those kinds of things that you were talking about to make it easy to be sucked into a plot or into a movie. But it was nice to see, hey, okay, there's conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're getting along all the time, but how does the conflict happen when it's within a team that works and is helpful and healthy and constructive and can communicate, and they have their issues, but like you said, they're not breaking up, they're not, slingshotting it into a whole other added layer of things that they're having to
Mm-hmm.
deal with. In fact, you even see so when Johnny was talking about the spacesuits,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like he was just being completely written off by Reed. Come to find out, Reed's like all of a sudden like, poof, oh, well, we needed them, and here's the spacesuits. So
Yeah.
even though he didn't like fully agree with Johnny, he was still like, he wasn't setting those thoughts and opinions aside. He was actually like, okay, well, let me have these ready just in case, because hey, maybe Johnny's got something here. So
Yeah.
yeah, I did like that. I did like how the conflict came from the outs. I mean, they argued, but the major conflict of the movie came from the outside, which was nice.
And I feel like they did it that way because like this movie had a sense of like old television wholesomeness. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Lucy and Ricky get into antics, but at the end of the day, they're family and love each other. Same thing with
Mhm.
like the Brady Bunch and stuff like that. And I think because this movie was set in like an alternate 1960s, that's the vibe that I still kind of got from it. That host that, but also they did a good job of making it feel more real. It wasn't one of those things like they didn't do the la-di-da thing where it's like swept under the rug. I loved when they taught stuff out. One of the things that I really remember sticking out to me was how upfront and honest they were right off the bat when they got back. Like, so did you beat Galactus? It's like, no, the price that he asked was too high. And they're like, what? And he straight up told them.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
I don't know.
I was surprised.
I was sitting there like, I feel like that's not the smartest play. But I don't know what the smartest play is. I mean, completely lying's not great. I wonder how world leaders feel about how their approach is to just like, there's like no filter in between, which is kind of refreshing in some ways. But that was one of those things where I was like, whoa. Because usually the plot would have a layer of deception and hiding things, and no, Reed just like put it straight out there. So Reed feels like a part of my family.
Okay.
He's very
I could see it.
you've met my family.
Yeah, they're great. I love them.
They're great. They're also very scientific minded people, mathematical folks. Like there's a way that some people speak through intellect and through factual information, and like some people bond in like sometimes with folks with like certain kinds of intellect, they bond in a slightly different way. They might communicate in a slightly different way.
Mhm.
And Reed totally does this. And so when Reed shared that, I went, uh-oh,
Boy.
because he thinks in equations, he thinks in, okay, here
Yeah.
are the data points. And that's not how most people
No.
think and react and process. And so when he said that, I was like, he has no idea what he just did.
Yeah.
Sue does,
Yeah.
but Reed has no idea what he just did. It was very interesting to see that and to just kind of go like, what's happening next? Because people aren't going to be happy about this. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, there is something very refreshing about someone who's like, you know what? I'm just putting all this stuff on the table. That's what we all deserve to have so that we can figure out the next step. And it's refreshing that he approaches it in that way.
Yeah.
But then you have
Absolutely.
everybody else reacting in a different way than Reed
Yeah. And
goes about things.
but at the same time, one of the things I appreciate about Reed is that he is understanding for why people feel the way they do. Like
Well, yeah,
even
he's not
after
writing
he
it
told
off.
everybody and the world was angry and people were like at their doorsteps, like chanting and angry and everything, it was one of those things where he was like, this is why they're upset. I understand it. I mean, looking for that's what I think is so important about like not completely losing your way and your composure in this day and age. It's so difficult to be completely polarizing. And when it comes to human rights, you should be, right? And I think it's one of those things that, like in this case, and I think they pulled it off perfectly with this plot line of saying, hey, here's how this group of people feels. Because in the movie, we're in the Fantastic Four's family, not the rest of the world. We're in their family. And so when they said, no, you can't have our baby, we immediately understood. People that lived in Tennessee didn't understand. We understood because we're watching the movie, right? We're with this family versus them. It's like, what? You're just going to sacrifice us? And he did such a good job of seeing that point of view. And I feel like they put that in there in this time where it's getting harder and harder to see shades of gray. Like it's really getting harder and harder to see it. And there are certain things that are polarizing, and there are certain things where it's like we can't have a conversation about this. And even though Reed and Sue were like, we can't have a conversation about this, we're not sacrificing our kid. That's just it. They did not hate everyone else that thought
Yeah.
from that way, even though they were sticking to their guns. No, we're not sacrificing our kid. We'll do everything we can to help the world. But at the end of it all, I think, and what does she say? She's like, I'm not willing to sacrifice my baby for the world, but I'm also not willing to sacrifice the world for my baby. Like it was the way she worded it, and it's just, I really like the way that they
Yeah.
handled that because
Well,
yeah,
and it hits on, so it's not just psychology that looks at this. A lot of like economic researchers and others have looked at like decision making.
like
How
the
do
trolley
people make,
problem.
yeah, the trolley problem, which is fairly similar to what we're talking about here, like save, you know, how, should you maximize how many people you can save,
8
kind of thing? Do you
billion people.
sacrifice one
Right.
for the blah blah blah? But just also all sorts of different types of decision making. And one of the things that you have to factor in is the fact that we are human beings and we are more than just the facts in front of us. Now, Reed, to a certain extent, leans more facts, but he
Hmm.
also didn't just go like, okay, let's give them our baby, which arguably was probably the safest bet for saving the world. Now, who knows? Maybe, do some calculations. Maybe that creates a greater risk in the future. I don't know. But when it comes to predicting how people will make decisions, we can't predict how people are going to make decisions if we don't factor in the emotional context of things. And so we can have all the data in front of us, but there are certain things that we value more than others. And that
Hmm.
matters in terms of what data we care more about or what
Hmm.
data we don't care as much about. And then there's, just like the emotional piece to things and how that ties into what we focus in on and what we don't, or what we feel or are able to kind of take on in terms of different decisions.
Hmm.
And so it's a really great example where, once again, like with Reed, for example, it's probably showing, hey, he's not actually completely solely intellectual logic based in
Right.
decision making, even him. And that's very
Yeah.
realistic. Even the most logical people, we still have feelings and emotions and things that factor in, and we still have values and other things that will affect what our decisions are. And the
Hmm.
same thing going for everyone else. So, on the one hand, if any of them were told to do the same thing for their child, most of them would probably have a similar reaction, but
Right.
they're coming from the other side. And then
Hmm.
add to that. So let's add another a piece to this, is the fact that this is all about Galactus, which,
Yeah.
by the way, is like one of the most terrifying, I think,
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
bad guys, or I don't even know what to call him. So I guess he falls into our monster category. I was
it's the
actually
most
looking up,
unbelievable part of the Fantastic Four. It's one of the things that I never fully believe. It's like, oh yeah, these four humans are
can
gonna
take
beat
on.
Galactus. And I'm like,
Who,
yeah,
like, literally,
that's
like, eats worlds and stuff, and so
no,
I was like, "Okay,
just
so
no.
is he a monster? Is he an alien?" So I was, like, looking into this, and then I was like, "Okay, he counts as monster because I went to Merriam-Webster,
Yeah,
and it was like, one thing it can be is an unusually large being. It's like, "Okay,
yeah.
well, that counts."
I mean, he shrank himself down to go to Earth.
Jeez.
Like when even that
Yeah.
Galactus, I'm like, nope, too small.
Or yeah,
Like, yeah,
or an animal of strange or terrifying shape, or yeah, there is essentially like just his pure size and just like how hard I mean, the idea of the world being destroyed would be horrifying enough, but then for it to be this like giant essentially creature, deity, whatever you want to call him, that can literally just consume your world. That's a living organism. These are like terrifying realities that they're dealing with. And
yeah,
so it's yeah, any potential escape I could see people really wanting to jump on. So I mean, honestly, I mean, I know that a lot of people were coming and, like, hanging out outside of the Fantastic Four, like, where they live and everything, and, people were mad, but I gotta say, I feel like people were extremely well behaved considering how terrified they probably were.
absolutely, absolutely. Like that's the thing. I really like in reality, there would be a whole lot more. I feel violence and
Mm,
chaos, and it would be a lot messier than this. And like I said, I feel like this alternate reality 1960s, I feel like they realized the importance of mental health way earlier than this universe did. Like everybody seemed to have decent heads on their shoulders in this movie, which was the most unbelievable aspect of it. I'm like, man, your 1960s was way better than our 1960s. Good Lord.
yeah, it well, and it would actually be really interesting to spend more time in this world and get a better sense of its history because you're right, it does seem to hint at least for the United States, that things have been less violent, less systematic difficulties and whatnot. But at the same time, we're only getting this snapshot of time, and we're mainly getting a snapshot of time after the Fantastic Four have, like, done a bunch to, like, help. And like you said, we're seeing things through that family. And so we're not seeing like, who are the most vulnerable people here? How are they treated? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Uh,
They did
there's
yeah.
a
They
lot we
didn't
don't
dig too
know.
much. They didn't dig too much in it.
Let's put it this way. There's plenty of people who say, "Oh man, can't things just be like they used to be?" Now, they are usually white people, at least in
Yeah.
our world.
The good old days.
The good old days, because it was easier to ignore some of the things that were going on. So who knows? Because we only got like one perspective of the world. Like who knows if there were things that like what does privilege look like there? Could be completely different. Maybe it has nothing to do with skin color or sex or gender
Yeah.
or any of that stuff. Like maybe their privilege levels come from different things. Like for example, Mole Man, it sounds like there was privilege factors based on, living above ground or below, and things have improved. But yeah, it would be interesting to see like, okay, where does privilege lie in this world? Because here's the thing. We can't help it. We compare. We we
Absolutely.
we do us and them. We group. We even in a different reality, these people were still reacting, responding, and doing things in predictable ways to us, right? Like we weren't thrown off like, whoa, oh, these people are, I think they're going to go from A to B to C and they're going like A, Q, J. No, they still had a predictability to them that suggests that there are certain facets of like psychology and how we are that are true even in this alternate reality. So I would bet there's still some layers of privilege and us versus them kind of stuff going on. We just don't necessarily get to see it in this movie.
Yeah. And I was gonna say one of the things I noticed was that Reed didn't get a lot of pushback from his plans. Even when they were
Mm,
like, the four of us are going into space to get Galactus, the whole world was like, cool. And when he came back, he's like, all right, look, I got a plan. I'm going to teleport the whole earth. The whole world was like,
Yeah.
cool. I'm like, what?
Must be nice.
What? Our Congress could not vote on sweet potato fries or regular fries. What? Like that's
yeah. Actually, that might be the most shocking part of the movie. But,
yeah. Like
especially because do you remember? I mean, they had to do like bouts of intensive conserving of energy. They had,
right.
I mean, like, this wasn't just like, oh, okay, a few people are going to sling this. No, this was like sacrificing. People were sacrificing resources, and you saw those structures, right?
Yeah.
Some people probably died putting those together like that.
No. Oh man.
Especially that fast.
I mean,
really I know they got a lot of technology, but
I just thought about it now though. I'm really excited for the Fantastic Four to come to the current MCU universe and be like, what the hell? What is going on right now? They're going to crash out because it's so terrible.
Or maybe it goes the opposite direction. Everyone goes over there and then they ruin the world. Either they ruin that world or if they have jails and whatnot, they might end up there because people are like, y'all can't behave.
Well, right. I mean, they're gonna get there. And Reed, of course, is gonna be looking through history and he's gonna be like, Watergate scandal? What? He's gonna look and he's gonna be like, they shot the president? That's the day I moved an egg with teleportation. Like, what? Like, I invented teleportation, and in their universe, the President Kennedy died on the same day. There's gonna be a crash out phase where this wholesome white family from the 60s is suddenly in 2025 and watching people do TikTok dances in the street. Like, it's gonna...
Honestly, I would love for a swap because I would also love for the ones in more of our universe to go to theirs.
Right.
And probably be seen as villains.
Yeah. Or for just Steve Rogers to show up again and have a long conversation with him like, I know how you feel right now. Right?
Yeah. It will definitely be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, here's another reason I went into this movie skeptical and not wanting to like it. And I don't know if it's true, but I heard a rumor that Reed Richards is going to be the leader of this new set of Avengers. And I was just like, I'm sorry. I thought Sam Wilson, who was just asked to restart the Avengers, was going to be the leader of the Avengers. Don't you dare. So I'm already
that's fair.
on defense right now. But
that's fair.
I did. Yeah. I really enjoyed that movie. But yeah, it was their world is very wholesome. And this is like, I was honestly upset a little bit watching it because it's like, look at this society if people believed in science, right? I guarantee you, if Galactus was headed towards Earth, there would be a huge group of people that was like, listen, there's a scripture in the Bible that says teleportation is a sin. So we cannot even think about doing that. And maybe we should be praying right now for Galactus to leave. Like it would be a whole thing.
Now, didn't they show though? Because once they like returned from space and they had more information, they were like, we didn't sacrifice our kid. Didn't they have like a stream where they were showing like news stuff or whatever? And there were people who were actually like turning Galactus into like a religion kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
they were like, we're gonna climb Mount Everest. And this, I remember that.
Yeah. So
I was like, yep, there it is.
To be fair, because once again, I think it would have been entirely unrealistic to say, okay, everybody feels the same. Because the thing is that even if you take away a lot of variability, okay, I agree with you. There's definitely more of there's a very strong majority trust in science that you see across the globe, literally, in this movie that clearly isn't true for our society currently. You know, there are a lot more factions, but even if you have less variability, there's still variability happening. And so I do like that they showed those little tidbits. Once again, we're only seeing little snippets. And
Mhm.
also, okay, enough of society came together to build those giant whatever transportation you do things and, save electricity, da 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 da. Arguably, you could say the world came together in a lot of different ways for, say, COVID, but when you're living in it, you can see all the things that aren't happening too. Versus, if you zoom out enough, it might not look that way. Oh, look, we all came together and we did the vaccines and we did the masks and da-da. But obviously, there was a lot more variation happening. So I
Yeah.
do think that they were hinting that there was more variation because they had a ton of people working on this stuff. But you don't need every single person in the world to work on those transportation devices. So you probably had, at least 50% of the world, let's say, backing you up, and you didn't have anyone getting in your way enough to like keep it from happening.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
don't yeah.
yeah, it would be interesting to zoom in a little bit more on this world. Is it really as nice and clean and wonderful as it seems, or is there more underneath this? Or are they like peace peacemakering it? Not to, and that's
Wait.
all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil anything for people.
I don't
But
think this world didn't have the internet yet, did it?
ooh,
It didn't.
uh-uh,
I don't think this world had the internet.
wasn't broken by the
I
internet.
didn't see any cell phones. There was no 4chan. There were no Reddit conspiracies. Like, and so
Where we went wrong.
maybe that's what it is. In this universe, they only gave soapboxes to the people that deserved them.
Well, and in this universe, I mean, think about it. When people say, "Oh, I wish we could go back to a simpler time or a better time or whatever," they don't mean the race riots. They don't mean assassinations. They don't mean et cetera. Like limits and rights. Uh, a
Some of
lot
them
of
don't.
okay, a lot of them don't mean that. Um, but what a lot of times what people mean is there was more human connection. There was less being sucked into all of these like technologies and things. Now you have everything at your fingertips, but also the ability to make up so many things that so much of it is trash. And so I think you actually have a really good point where people are forced to still have community and connect with each other, which we're also seeing with the Fantastic Four themselves, more community connection with each other, like they have a lot less technology, but they still have technology. It's just in certain ways and not others. Because you're right. I don't remember seeing any cell phones or things like that or internet related. They had kind of computery things, but it was old school computery stuff. Meanwhile, they had Herbie. So although Herbie does suggest maybe they're getting a little complicated with AI,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows?
Absolutely. It was just, and it's one of those things where it's like there was surely like, and it makes me think about when the snap happened and you had like, what was that group called? The Flag Smashers
Mm,
in Falcon Winter Soldier that were like, we're not going to let things reset to the way they were. Like,
hmm
I feel like in this world, they really focused on the family and kept moving the plot along instead of showing all of the pushback that was
100%.
probably happening
Yes.
from these four people making decisions for the entire planet.
And they built a lot of trust to do so, but then not add the fear of something terrifying like Galactus
Yeah.
and the fact that there was an out and y'all didn't take it. Now, it was sacrificing a unborn child. It was, baby and stuff. Um, it's yeah. There had to be more
Yeah.
like severing of people than it showed. Now, maybe how technology works there helped. Also, that world in general, it seemed a little bit more Star Trek-y in
Yes,
terms of the
definitely.
political and systematic structure. I
Yeah.
mean, it seemed to be suggesting that there were still separate countries and whatnot,
Oh yeah, because they showed
but
Dr. Doom's country, and nobody was at the table when they showed on like the United Nations.
Oh, I missed that.
They showed Latveria, like Dr. Doom's country, and nobody was there. And so, yeah, they did. Yeah,
Okay, I vaguely remember that now.
it was quick.
Yeah. So it wasn't full Star Trek, but there was definitely this sense of we have this trust in, and we tend to move together, and it's centered around the Fantastic Four quite a bit, at least given what was going on with
Hmm.
this situation. I guess if it's coming from space, y'all take care of it.
Yeah.
It's
And
superpower, y'all take care of it. Which is very different from our world. I mean,
yeah.
all the countries would be arguing with each other until we all just got sucked up by Galactus.
Well, and I think that's what's going to be interesting in this universe. Whenever they get to this universe, they're going to have other people to contend with that normally have other plans, right? Because I mean, in this universe, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I mean, the universe they're going to be entering into is a universe that had Tony Stark and Obadiah Stane. It has Stephen Strange. It has Bruce Banner. It has Shield. It has all of these other
Yeah.
people and organizations that are just like, you don't get to make that decision,
Yeah.
and you don't either,
Well,
and you definitely don't. And you're from an alternate universe in the 60s that
you,
didn't have Vietnam, and you're the smartest person on earth. Yeah, I don't think so. Right.
you
And
know
so,
what this is making me think of quite a bit is I'm simplifying things down quite a bit, but the Fantastic Four world feels more like collectivist. Once again, everyone's not everyone, but people are coming together, just like how much everyone worked to get all of these larger things going.
mhm,
How there was this trust in, okay, different people have different roles and this is their role, and so we're going to let them take the lead. And
mhm,
uh it felt a lot more collectivistic, where versus in the world that we're used to with the superheroes we have, first off, most of them are from the United States, of course, but very individualistic, right?
mhm,
So they're very much, I am taking charge because I know what I'm doing. But they're not really thinking about everyone. And even if they think they're thinking about everyone, they're usually thinking about like a smaller group. They're thinking about the United States, or they're thinking about like their people, or they're, or they might be thinking about the world, but it has a very different vibe than this Fantastic Four one, which feels a lot more all encompassing. And so it will be interesting. I wonder if with that, there might be some clashes where it might feel similar to the clashes that can happen between like individualistic society versus collective. And or also like, I wonder how it'll feel for, like, I'm thinking, one of the difficult bits with, say, immigrating from different countries can be, how do you see the family? How do you structure your communities? And so when
mhm.
people come to the United States, we're so individualized. We've got like cowboy culture, like each their own. I mean, obviously, I'm making huge generalities. This is more about like what we often have had as like our majority culture for a long time.
Yeah.
But that can be a really tough shift. So I'm thinking of like kids where they come with the parents, and the parents stick with the old traditions, and then they come to the new ones, and then they're trying to find a way to bridge. I wonder if this might have some like vibes to it that's going to feel familiar to those folks. Is But when you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, they're coming from a like family focus, not
The
just the four of
Jetsons.
them. It's so Jetsons, and they really seem to try and work with the people of their world as if like we're a community and a family,
Mhm.
versus when you started listing off people from our world, I was like, oh god, they're all just like, I know what's best, listen to me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my thing. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, because they're also, we got to remember, they're not just coming to an alternate universe, they're coming to an alternate universe and also like 60 to 70 years in the future.
True.
And so it'll definitely be
and with
interesting
and with internet
to
bliss.
see. Right. Yeah. They're going, I'm like, oh, don't go on the Fantastic Four subreddit. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't. Don't click those Facebook comments. Please don't. Just don't. It's going to be bad.
They won't know what they're getting themselves into.
Right. Like they're going to be like, I saw on the news, and everyone's going to be like, which news? Which one? Because depending on like which one did you watch though? They're like, oh, the news is the news. And we're like, nope, not anymore. Not anymore. It's not just Walter Cronkite. There's so much more news now. There's this thing
Who
called
knows?
AI.
Maybe Reed can come over here and use his brain, fix it all. That'd be nice.
Yeah. That'll be what this MCU universe needs. It needs Reed Richards to just come in and save the day.
Thanks for nerding out with us. I'm clinical psychologist Dr. Amelia Brown.
And I'm educator and comic aficionado Keeden Hopkins. Check out my TV and movie reviews on YouTube at Team JVS. Check out our website at bat-therapy.com, our Bat Therapy YouTube channel, and follow us on social media. And don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/battherapy. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.